Another episode of I Don't Know Vlogs. Today we have a 10-year NFL offensive tackle, Super Bowl winner, author, speaker, and award-winning broadcaster, Ryan Harris. Thank you for being on our podcast today.
Hey, thanks, Ty, and appreciate you guys having me.
No, absolutely.
How's your day going today?
Hey, life is good. I'm above ground, and just thankful to be able to have persevered through 2020.
Yeah, I think that's all of us.
Yeah.
Thank God we're getting through this year. But with I Don't Know Vlogs, we have a mission to understand how individuals reach the top of their success. For you, reaching the Super Bowl, winning an award for your broadcasting, becoming an analyst, and just being an overall great human. How we want to learn your journey to the success. So can we start from the beginning of your success?
Yeah, and a big part of success is your mindset, and that's what my book was about. And I chose my mindset at different points in my life with the words I am, I can, I will. And as a Muslim, we often say inshallah at the end because you can't say you're going to do anything without God's blessing. But I started with my mindset at an early age. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota, and I had to choose my mindset in school because people saw me as a multiracial kid as a threat. Twice in my time in primary school, they tried to make me an special needs learning child. Then went from St. Paul to the University of Notre Dame and got 2 degrees in 3.5 years. So my journey, I had to choose my mindset when people thought I was a threat. I had to choose my mindset when people thought that I wasn't tough enough to play football in high school. I had to choose my mindset in class to tell teachers that I wanted an education and I wanted to win on and off the field. I had to choose my mindset at Notre Dame. My first few practices, I got knocked out of my cleat, and some of the sounds you make aren't that great. When you do that happens, and the whole team is like, ooh, like, I don't know if he's gonna make it. And then a few days later, I chose my mindset. I am here because I can play football. I will knock the crap out of somebody on this next drill tomorrow, and I focused on it. And I researched about different mindsets of samurai warriors all the way up to NBA basketball coaches and fought my way through Notre Dame. Started there for 4 years and then got drafted to the Broncos 2007, got fired in 2011 for being arrogant and unwilling. Went to the Houston Texans for 2 years, the Chiefs for a year, came back to Denver with Gary Kubiak, who coached me at the Texans, and then won the Super Bowl and then finished my career at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now I do broadcasting and speaking.
No, that's quite an incredible journey that you've had, to say the least. Now, going back to kind of like the idea of like your mindset and like how you've changed throughout the years, with some speakers we've kind of found like this common denominator, which we've seen is like not being content with or being complacent with where you're at currently right now. Do you think that played a major role in like the attitude that you had towards striving for better goals, more achieving, or more progression in your own self and for your future self?
Yeah, I think for me it has always been, seek failure. One of my favorite little interviews, it was about 5 minutes and Elon Musk was on 60 Minutes. And they said, so you're bankrupt and your rocket blows up and you think, hey, let's start an electronic car company. That'll be a great idea. And he goes, yeah, I actually thought it would fail, but any idea worth going after is worth it, right? I mean, that's the mentality of the people that succeed in life because so many of us, when we fail, we want the failure to be the answer. Oh, I wasn't good enough, or oh, it's not within me. Wrong. You have to push through that. Failure is the most common thread in every success story. And I just chose not to see it as failure. I just chose not to see it as fatal. I chose to say, okay, failure means in a game, I can go back to my hand technique and my technique with my feet. I can coordinate my hand and eye coordination. I can punch when I see my target. Failure as a parent. I fail often as a parent, and hopefully, it's not slipping and falling on my head, although that happens. But does that mean I'm going to stop being a father? No. Does it mean I'm going to stop being a husband? No. So there are all these examples in our life when failure just isn't an option. And for my career, I've just chosen that mindset. I've chosen that failure means I'm closer, and that failure means that I've got to readjust either my priorities or recognize and cut out some distractions.
So going along the journey of your career, there's been ups and downs that throughout life, just how we all go through ups and downs. many people have faith during these ups and downs. How did faith help you during your ups and downs?
At the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin and I were talking one day, and he said, if you want to be successful, get used to being lonely. And I always thought that was such a great thing, because a lot of people want to be, comfortable. And so for me, my faith being Muslim, I mean, I was never alone to begin with, when in college, when I didn't go and party with the other kids and go to different things because I wanted to be a champion, I want to make the most of my life, both on and off the field. I was alone, but I always believed that I had God, and as a Muslim, when you go through Ramadan, it's a very strengthening month. And when you go a month not eating while the sun is up, there's few things you can't do in life, especially if you have the consciousness that you're on a mission that you were built to succeed in, built to create. And in that way, faith has been a guiding light in my life, far beyond football, but throughout my life.
And throughout your career, you've gone through some injuries. And so, how did you keep a positive mindset or outlook along your journey?
That's a great question, Ty, and I'll tell you, it was tough. It was very tough, but what can I do? In those moments when you're stuck or when you want to give up, because I've been there, and anybody who's successful who tells you they haven't been there, they're not really telling you the full truth. Now, whether you listen to that voice or not, that's up to you. But I always say, what can I do? And I'd say, I can quit. I can let this be the end. I can never talk to so and so again. But instead, I said, you know what? I can make sure with my toe injury that I can get 1 degree of bend every week for the next 35 weeks. I can make sure that I eat well. I can research how to eat. And so now, even though I'm not doing what I wanted to do in terms of playing football, I'm able to still take action towards a meaningful resolution. And so in that way, I just continue to find out, well, what can I do? Well, I am bored. Okay, I can learn how to play the guitar. All right, I am interested in technology. Well, I can read about technology. I can read about how to communicate to others. I am in a position to use a platform to talk about things like racial justice and to talk about things like listening for curiosity instead of listening to be confirmed. And in that way, what can I do? I can read about that. I will read about that. I will listen to podcasts. I am somebody who wants to be wealthy because wealth creates opportunity in America. Well, I can learn about Warren Buffett. I can start investing in stocks. I will invest in stocks. I will save $80 out of every $100 I make. I will sound like I'm poor at times or not poor, but I will sound like I'm not wealthy by saying I can't afford it because you know what? If I can't pay for it cash, it's not meant for me. And so these are the things that in which I built the way that I operate every day. And I can tell you it's very, very enjoyable once you make it through the tough times.
And kind of going off of that area of, like, I guess you could say financial literacy, and also what you speak heavily about in your book. And I know that you also have like 2 degrees, as mentioned, in economics and political science. And I kind of wanted to get an understanding of why you drove to like understand financial literacy and speak so heavily on it, and kind of to teach and inspire others to understand more about it.
Well, financial literacy is the most useful skill that we're never taught. I'll say that again. Financial literacy is the most useful skill that we're never taught. And even though I went through and had an economics and policy degree from Notre Dame, I wasn't taught the individual personal finance habits that make you successful. Overnight, I was the wealthiest person in my family. And 2 days later, I had 2 business plans, one of them from an uncle that I've loved my whole life who never was in real estate. So I'm huge on financial literacy because I had to learn it the hard way. After making my first $1 million, I was broke and in debt because 78% of NFL athletes are bankrupt and or chemically dependent or divorced or all three 2 years after they're done playing. So I had to learn quickly that giving money to people is not the right way to go. You're either a strategic giver or you're a bleeder. There's no other in between. I learned it's one of the hardest things you're going to do in life is to save money. It's no one everybody says save your money. What the hell does that mean? That means save 60 to 80 dollars out of every $100 you make. That's what that means. Nobody taught me to invest in the things I love. I love, they say, I tell people own what you buy. Well, my first stocks were Chipotle, Nike, McDonald's, Apple, Google, and then Netflix, and like, hey, I use those every day. If you're going to Starbucks, driving a Chevrolet, wearing Nike shoes on your way to pick something up from Whole Foods or Amazon or whatever it is, own those stocks. And the growth that happens makes sure that you can provide for yourself, your family, that you can travel. I mean, each and every one of you right now, Kyle, Ty, and Ryan, you have to travel, man. You guys got to get out of where you're from. And by investing and knowing how your finances are, that to me is really being an adult.
So I noticed something a little bit different about you on your journey to the NFL. You stayed a full 4 years in college, rather than going one year and being. Oh, okay. Is everything all good? Oh, you're muted, Mr. Harris.
All right, that worked better.
So I noticed a little bit something different, that you stayed the full 4 years in college rather than going to college for 1 year and then being done. Do you mind explaining what was your reasoning behind this, or?
Yeah, the NFL, you got to stay 3 years. But I was not ready for the world of grown men who eat protein shakes and lift weights and study ways to absolutely destroy you. It was important for me to finish as well, and so I finished 3.5 years, 4 seasons there. I was the third freshman in Notre Dame history to start as an offensive lineman his freshman year. And so I had done a lot of things and came what I came to do. I came to play great football and get some degrees so that I could have opportunities in the future to maximize what I earned in my college tuition. So that was really a big point for me, and making sure that I was prepared for the next level. And I still wasn't prepared, guys. I mean, you got to be able to listen. You got to be willing to change. I mean, think about where you're at right now. Your success depends on what you don't know.
Exactly.
How do you go get it? How do you learn it? Where are you going to seek it from? Who are you going to trust? And these are things that to think about, and lessons that I learned quickly.
And with football and going into the NFL and now being an analyst for it, how have you seen, like, I guess, the disparity from, because you have a great point of view from both perspectives now. So what kind of disparities have you seen in the NFL and I guess in the industry and as a whole for professional athletes?
I believe fans are too quick to judge, and I believe fans often are looking at the wrong thing. It's not about whether a player drops the ball in the first quarter or not. It's whether that player makes the game-winning touchdown just to win the game, right? I mean, that's which athlete do you want? And fans, and we say on my radio show all the time, hey, it's in the Apollo's Creed. Fans have a right to react to what they see. But often, what I've learned as an NFL athlete and then now as a broadcaster, fans often put their pain in life on the team or on the player, and that's okay, right? That's a great mechanism for sport to help us in our society and in our culture. But too often, now I see guys posting videos of their workouts. Peyton Manning never posted a video of his workout. He was working out. Peyton Manning literally practiced fumbled snaps in between bench press reps. That's how hard he was working. So I worry about the ability for young athletes these days to maximize their athletic potential because they think it's for the Instagram or for the I don't even know the OnlyFans thing, what that is. I'm beyond that. But it's much more about what's happening in your life in front of you. And I'm thankful that I wasn't being recruited, in the day of Instagram and Facebook and things like that, because you're so impressionable. You think that stuff matters. Well, I can guarantee you come against me on a football field, I could care less how many likes and followers you got. I'm making sure you want this football game. And guess what? You don't want it as bad as me. So how are we going to figure this out? And that's what you're going to encounter, whether that's in football or whether that's in business. You're going to encounter somebody who is dedicated to the craft, who cares nothing about failure and wants only to see success beyond you. And that's a very different place to be. And that's where you have to win at life.
So throughout your career, what life lessons has football taught you?
Keep your head up, honestly, right? Look out, use your eyes. And there's something that a great coach told me in my career: if you think it, do it. And his whole point was you've prepared. You have to trust your preparation, right? If you think about doing it, if you think that's the best play, if you think that's the best thing to say, do it. And I also take with me the second rule every day they give at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin says first rule in getting better is showing up. That's true. You want something, you want to get better at something, show up. Show up to whether that's office hours or to get a tutor or just showing up makes you better. And they say second rule in getting better is listening is a skill. The ability for you to listen, understand, and execute. That's all what it's about in the NFL. And it will shock you guys. I could tell you stories upon stories of guys who did not listen to their coaches, who did not listen to even their offensive line mates on the field when we told them, hey, this blitz is coming, and they just didn't listen. Oh, sorry, guys, I didn't hear you. What? Now we lost the game. So your ability to listen is huge. And then lastly, that no one owns suffering. There's a lot of players playing right now in the NFL who are injured, who are hurt. You don't own suffering. So whatever problems you have, you better make sure your gratitude outweighs your expectations. Otherwise, you're fixing to have a bad day.
So when one of the pinnacles of your football career is winning the Super Bowl. So when you reached the Super Bowl and you won the Super Bowl, what were you feeling, and how did it feel to know that you're playing in the Super Bowl and when you won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, when you won the Super Bowl, it felt amazing. Everything you believed about everything you believe about yourself comes true for other people when you win the Super Bowl. Now people know I work hard. Now people know that I sacrifice. Now people know that I know which sacrifices matter. Now people know I know how to win in the biggest stage. It's amazing. I kind of felt like Ali, eat your words. It just was, nobody thought we would win. They talked bad about us all year. I mean, even after the Super Bowl, I got asked the question, Ryan, the offensive line struggled a lot this year. What do you have to say about that? I was like, well, no offensive line has rings like ours. And I walked away, like, get the hell out of here, Success, you can't look to other people for your success. And you also I felt sad immediately. It was something that I didn't anticipate. I went through an entire year. It's week 27 in the NFL when your hands touch that cold Lombardi trophy. And to look around at the guys who I had so many bus rides with and jokes with, and every time we picked each other up and kept each other going, that was all over because of free agency, So really taught me to enjoy the people I'm around, make sure they're the right people. And when you have good people around you, take every ounce of time you can with them. And it taught me to overcome fears of failure. I mean, I said to myself the night before the Super Bowl, I am terrified. My greatest achievement is going to be my greatest failure if we lose this game. But I can go out and put on my pads. I can knock the crap out of somebody. I can have fun, and I will raise that trophy. And we did. So these things now have ingrained a process in me that help me succeed far beyond the field of football and continue to propel me in life.
If there's one piece of advice that was shared to you and that you continue to implement in your life daily until today, is what piece of advice would that be? And how has that shaped not only your career but also your lifestyle and also just your perception on life in general?
Be curious. If you're racist, I'm not upset. I'm curious. Will heaven be segregated? Right? Like, let's talk about this here. If you are angry, I'm curious. What's making you angry? If you feel strongly about something, I'm curious. What about this issue has you feeling so strongly? Was there an experience that you had? Traveling, we talked about that. It's being curious, doing new things. It's so amazing to me how many people want success but fail to do something new. I had to relearn how to breathe after playing with Peyton Manning in the spring. I had to go to my MMA coach who I usually just did hand fighting with. I'm like, hey man, you got to teach me how to breathe because Peyton's running so many plays. Well, I'm so glad I was willing to do something new to be successful. So often we just want, oh, nope, this is the way I've done it. This is the only way it's going to work. Be curious. What else can you add? Where else can you learn from? Who else has been in the shoes that you want to stand in? Learn these things. Be curious, and you will find your success.
And I think to end this podcast, we always want to understand what legacy do you want to leave behind? That's one of our main missions. So my question for you is, what legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be known for?
I think it's funny when people ask the legacy question because none of us have been to, we don't visit, cemeteries often. So legacy is really with the people who know you. And whether that's my children, my wife, my family, those who I encounter, I want my legacy to be, I believe in others. I believe in other people. And I'm encouraging you to go for your dreams and to overcome every failure you meet on the way, because I can tell you as a world champion, it's worth it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it, and we had an awesome time interviewing you. We really appreciate you. Wish you all the best. All right.
Thanks, guys. I'll look you up when I come
Thank
out to
you.
Orange County to get some surfing in. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Assalamu alaikum.